Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to fly from Riga in Latvia to Moscow. And we have this beautiful airport scenery. It is from Justsim, looking real nice. And the weather is beautiful, not much is going on. Last time I flew from Riga, we had a thunderstorm and also wind shear alert. But today it's going to be beautiful and in Moscow should be the same. So we'll say it's going to be an exciting flight. And we will fly this beautiful IXEG 737-300, the classic. One of my favorites here in X-Plane 11, and I think the first ever video that I uploaded to YouTube was with this plane. It's currently in version 1.21, however IXEG is working on the 1.3 update, and as far as I know the texturing will be updated, VNAV will receive a rework, or also will be improved, and the handling of the aircraft will also be improved, as far as I know, and I hope it will come out soon. Can't wait to fly this, fly the 1.3 version of this aircraft. Here we can see in the passenger cabin, textures are a little bit low res, but in the cockpit it's still looking great. So, meanwhile, we can already go ahead and get this plane ready for departure. It's going to be a shorter flight, depending on the winds, around 1 hour, 15 minutes of airtime. So we'll see. Alright, let's get ready. First thing is the battery. Now go to the DC meter. Minimum voltage is 24, we have that. So that's great. And now let's put this switch to on bat. And we can go with the ground power unit, or we can also start the APU, but the 737 Classic has a quirk right here. When we do the fire warning test, then the wheel well light will not illuminate when the airplane is only on DC power. Right there. However, if I connect the ground power unit, and we can also open the cargo doors when we are here, reset master caution, and observe these lights. They should extinguish when I connect the ground power. There we go. And the altimeters, I think it's this rattling is the altimeter that we can hear in the background. So now when we do the fire warning test, the wheel light should illuminate. There we go. And we can also do the cargo detection test. Going to take a couple of seconds. And we have all the indications here. Also when we go, there it is. Now we have AC power. We can check the transformer rectifiers, tier 1, 2, 3. They are converting AC power to DC. And now we can go up here and set irises to nav. On DC light should extinguish and align light will come on. There we go. And heading /status, it indicates 7 minutes until full alignment. However, it will take about 10 to 11 minutes, but it's only showing from 7, so it will count down from 10 to 11 or whatever to 7, and from 7 we get the actual value, how long it's going to take until iris alignment. And until iris alignment the airplane should not be moved. Alright, clackers, PMC, no lights, oxygen PSI, looks great. I'm not going to bother with the test right now. No emergency scenarios are set for today. And galley power. On the emergency exit lights. Passenger signs on. And window heat. There we go. I'm going to wait a little bit with the pitot-static and verify that the electric hydraulic pumps are off. And test the cockpit voice recorder. And recirc fan on auto. We can do the wing body overheat test. It's going to take about 6 to 10 seconds until these lights are on or illuminated. There we go. And here we can also see master caution and air conditioning. So, and we're going to cruise at 33,000 feet today. And this switch is on auto. That's important. There was a tragic accident over Greece. Helios flight from Cyprus to Athens. They crashed, unfortunately. Maintenance checked, put the switch to manual, and nobody noticed that it was left on manual. And when the pilots got a warning, it sounded exactly the same as the altitude or the takeoff warning horn. So they didn't know that it was the air conditioning, and everybody ran out of oxygen, passed out, and in Greece they scrambled 2 F-16s, and they saw somebody moving in the airplane in the cockpit, supposedly the flight attendant, tried to gain control of the airplane, but unfortunately he also passed out, and the airplane ran out of fuel and crashed. So it was a quite tragic accident. Alright. What else? Now we can also do the oil quantity test. These indicators will be moving back to 0. And when I release the button, then they should move back to the original value. There we go. And test the lights. Here we go. And we can also do the test right there, also for the first officer. And verify the pressure, hydraulic quantity, and also flap setting is corresponding with the lever right here. Sometimes they can disagree, and that's why the B system should be left off. Or actually we need ground clearance until we can engage the B system. For example, when the flap is set to 5 and we pressurize the B system, then the flaps will move and it could possibly result in injury or damage. So here we can go down here. ATC, I think it was the from the previous flight, but I'm going to stick with that and put it to standby. Alright, now we can take care of the loading of the aircraft. Ground services. And get my flight plan. So fuel, we're going to need 6.2. There we go, and going with instant. And here we go, no fuel in the center tank today. And zero fuel weight is going to be 46.8. There we go. Just click on instant once again to make sure. And according to SimBrief, maximum fuel weight is 49.7, so we are below that. That's great. And now the speed brake lever is in the way. So we are in Riga. And we have to go to the next page to get the accurate GPS coordinates. Right there. Yeah, they differ a little bit, so these are the most accurate. And already have Riga in the scratch pad. And we are going to go to Moscow. Oops. Sheremetyevo airport. I'm sure I mispronounced that, but close enough. And departure. Actually, first let's listen to the ATIS information. $121.75.
Riga International Airport Information Uniform. 1100 Zulu weather. Wind 1208. Visibility 10. Sky conditions 1400.
Okay, we have 2941 and active runway is 36. Somewhere over here. And actually I have also work traffic 3 enabled, and we can take a look at the radar. What's going on? No, not much. In 20 nautical miles radius. Looks like someone is going in for a landing. So who is that guy? Norwegian. Alright. Now, 36. And Sect 5G departure. And from there we go on airway M864 to Igoro. And G3 to FK. And arrival is going to be ILS runway 24 left with the FK2A arrival and Rugal transition. Fantastic. Now we can go ahead, activate it and execute it, and here in the Lex page we can clear up any discontinuities right here. So, looking alright. Once we have iris alignment we can step through the flight plan. Alright, let's go to the performance page. It's going to be 330. And cost index is 29. Reserve, I'm just going to put 1 here. All it does is it will send me a message here in the scratch pad when we actually have that amount of fuel left, but hopefully it will be not the case today. And 46.81 has 0 fuel weight and everything is set. Transmission altitude 5000. And let's check the weather once again. 120 at 8. So we can do a derated takeoff. No wind shear warning. And flaps 5, CG, it was 20. And V speeds. And it was 3.6 takeoff trim. So 1, 2, 3. Right about there. If the trim is not set correctly for takeoff, we get a takeoff warning sound. That's one of the items, and looks like we have iris alignment already. So I'm going to go ahead and start the APU. And we can also pressurize B system. And for the APU we need the F number 1 fuel pump, but actually all of them can be switched on. And the APU is powering. Actually this airplane, even without a sound pack, has fantastic sounds. Beautiful. And flight directors. This one is the master, indicated by that light. And we already have APU gen available, so we can switch it on. And there is a cool effect when we switch to another power source. These old school CRT monitors. There we go. It's really cool. And here also. Nice. Okay, let's set it to 000, and V2 plus 20 is 163. And altitude go right for 33,000 feet. Transition altitude is 5,000, we have to remember that. And we can disconnect the ground power unit. The power source was already disconnected when I switched it over to APU gen. And landing altitude will be 640 in Moscow. And we have to wait 1 minute until APU bleed can be switched on. And perostatic heat. And anti-collision lights on. It's going to call for pushback.
Ground to cockpit, plan acknowledged. Call me through the menu when you are ready. Ground to cockpit, tow is driving up.
Just driving through all the buildings here. And it looks like Norwegian landed right there. And on the active runway, and it's not bad for World Traffic 3.
Okay, all doors and hatches are closed. Ready to connect.
We can also test the windows. They can be closed until 250 knots, even in the air. Oxygen. And we can also check here. And emergency equipment. We have circuit breakers, not much we can do with them, but they should be all pushed in. I think the A system should be left off for pushback. Not sure about that one, but meanwhile we can
connected and bypass pin inserted. Release parking brake.
release parking brakes. So we have iris alignment. We are good to go. And auto gate.
Starting pushback, and you may start engines.
It's going to step to the flight plan quickly. Looking alright to me. And put it back to map mode. Also for the first officer. And we can start the engines. APU bleed is on. Packs are off. So here we go. Number 2. And actually use the right ignition system for the first flight of the day. I think the reason for that is the right system is powered by the standby AC system, so that's how the crews check if the standby system is working correctly. And we are looking for N2 at 21, and here we go. Beautiful sounds. And we have a good engine start here at with number 2.
Operation complete. Go ahead and set the parking brake. Disconnecting tow. Stand by.
And number 1, engage. just like Captain Picard. Yeah, Air Baltic is still flying these classic 737s. That's why I picked this route. Got it from FlightAware. And we can set flaps 5.
Disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal on the left. We'll see you next time and have fun up there.
Hand signal will be on the left. Thanks, buddy. Oops, come on. Taxi. I'll put on the strobe lights. And what else? Electric hydraulic pump A. And engine bleeds. Packs the auto. And switch over. Once again. CRT monitors. And I'm going to also already on the auto throttle. And we are pretty much ready for taxi. Nice airplane. Taxi is really fast, even on idle. And we don't need the APU anymore. Yeah, there's a technique when we can use the APU and the APU bleed and the engine bleeds off for takeoff to get a little bit of extra power, but today is not the case. And check the speed. Alright, and the runway is up ahead, 36. That's not a big airport here in Riga. So what else? I was going to put these guys to continuous for takeoff, could be a little bit bumpy. And ground speed is already 12 knots. And I didn't touch the throttle controls. So other brakes I'm going to set or RTO. And here transponder to auto and above. Oops. And 15 knots. Oh, let's slow down a little bit. Brakes are working. And good old 737 Classic. Don't have a lot of ground clearance here with the engines. In the last video I've flown the 737-200 from FlyJSim with the good old JT8D engines. that also didn't have much of a ground clearance, but with these bigger CFM engines it's even less. I think I talked about it in the previous video. It's more difficult to modernize the 737s than as opposed to the A320, for example. A320 has a bigger landing gear, so on the existing airframe it's much easier to fit bigger and better engines. With the A320neo, yeah, actually Boeing didn't want to modernize the 737s at first. They were quite happy with the next generation family, but American Airlines announced that they will be placing a massive order for the A320neo, so that was quite a big blow for Boeing. And okay, they said, how could we compete with that one? And they didn't want to build a new aircraft and design it from scratch. So they said, okay, we should modernize the 737s. That's how the MAX came to be, with the LEAP engines. But they had to be mounted a little bit upward and forward, as opposed to the engines on the 737-800. And this obviously completely changed the aerodynamic qualities of the aircraft. So software was needed for the 737 to preserve its flying characteristics, so crews can be easily retrained. And that's where the MCAS was came into the picture. Unfortunately, we all know how that went. Alright, we are coming up on the runway and going way too fast. Alright, weather radar on, tilt it up and switch it on there. For my side, it's doing a quick test. Actually, I think we are at range 10, yep. And lights on. I don't think we need a taxi lights for takeoff. These switches are on continuous. Flaps set to take off. I don't think we need to, or I'm not sure, but I'm not going to on the speed brakes for takeoff, for rejected takeoff. So one quick check. Put this switch to flight mode. APU is off, and let everybody know that we are departing. And take a look at the radar. No, somebody's coming in from landing. Cessna 172. There he is. Alright, now we keep holding short until this guy is landed. And we have another bird after him, so I'm going to wait for a while. Crabbing a little bit into the wind. And who's this guy? Uzbekistan. No, 767. Okay, let's wait for these guys. And Cessna is down. Cessna already vacated the runway. Oh yeah, there it goes. And it looks like we are the only ones departing right now. Okay, now we can go and line up with the runway, and once that guy vacated the runway, then we can also take off. Lights are on, and auto throttle is armed. That's important. Last time I forgot this step, so wasn't that pretty when I had to abort the takeoff. And runway looks clear. Here we go, clock. And rolling takeoff. Let the engine stabilize. And toga. We have derated takeoff, but runway is long enough. Slowly rotate. Gear up. And trim. And slowly get the flaps up. And VNAV, LNAV, autopilot A. Oops. Yeah. In the off position. And disarm the auto brakes. Alright, let's look for 5,000 feet. And flight mode annunciator. We can also increase the range already. And here we are at top of climb. Well, I think we can go with range 80 for now. And hopefully the VNAV, oops, already 5,000 feet. There we go, and first officer. Yeah, sometimes with this 1.21 version, which has been around for a while, there are a couple of issues with the VNAV when flying on autopilot, but hopefully the next update will remedy that. Sometimes, especially when descending with VNAV, sometimes the airplane tends to speed up significantly. VNAV is disconnected, and that's a recipe for disaster if you don't monitor closely the autopilot. And looks like a little bit of precipitation up ahead, flying through clouds, but we are well below -10 and no visible moisture, so no empty ice is needed to put these guys back to off. Put this to auto. And 10,000 feet. Lights off. And we are on our way. These are still the default X-Plane 11 textures. I've been watching some videos where people comparing X-Plane 11 with the new Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 and how bad X-Plane 11 looks in comparison, but it's not that fair. It has been around for a while, and I think it still is the best looking sim out there. Obviously, when the next flight sim is going to be released, it will not be the case, but with autographic scenery, this sim can look great. And also there are a couple of softwares. It could cost a fortune to purchase add-ons for this sim, but Flight Sim 2020 is not released yet, so I hope it will be great and will look exactly how in the videos it's looking. So let's hope for the best. Until then, X-Plane 11 still remains the best. Alright, not much else to do right now, so I will be back when we are approaching our top descent point. Alright, soon we have the top of descent point within 40 nautical miles. Should appear soon here. So we can go ahead. All we have to do is set the target altitude. In this case it's going to be 5,000 feet, where we have our transition altitude. After that we go down to 2,500 and then intercept the glide slope and localizer. And when we reach the top of descent point, then the airplane will automatically begin descending, throttle will go to idle, and let's see, we have to monitor the VNAV, and if needed we also should apply a drag with the speed brakes, but the airplane will let me know. We'll send a message here in the scratchpad that drag is needed. And we can already go to the approach ref page. We will be using flaps 30 and 136 knots. That's not much of a difference between flaps 30 and flaps 40. And ILS frequency 110.50 and course 244 for runway 24 left. And both nav radios are already set 110.50, and here course in both places and heading is already set to 244. If we need to correct our approach, then I'm going to change the heading, but I'm going to let everybody know that we are descending soon. And it's coming up within 20 nautical miles, so we will begin the descent soon. Alright, we already have the airport in sight, and we're going to circle around and land here at runway 24 left. And soon we are at 5,000 feet, transition altitude. It's going to increase the descent rate, already took over from VNAV, and we can go and slow down to 210 knots. And then extend flaps. And early in the evening, almost 70 minutes en route. We have a nice tower textures here. That's the Drzewiecki design, Moscow Sheremetyevo airport, if I pronounce that correctly. However, this is the original version. There is a V2 version that has been released a couple of months ago, but I don't have that one yet. Honestly, I've been watching some pictures and videos. Could not tell what the difference is between the updated version. But maybe in the future I'm going to invest in that one. But it works just fine. Maintaining 210 knots. Coming on to our turning point here at Riga. And there's not going to be much time to do the preparation, so I'm going to arm the speed brakes. Right there. Speed brakes armed, illuminated. Once we made the turn, then I'm going to extend landing gear, set auto brakes 2. And put these guys to continuous for landing. So a little bit of crosswind, and we had a good tailwind, almost 70 knots on the way. It's only 20 right now, so speed brakes armed, nav radios tuned to the ILS frequency, and both cores are set to 244, also the heading, and 5000 feet. Let's check once again with 80s. 2950. And runway 24 left is correct. And also here 2950. There we go. And beautiful scenery. Once we hit this point, I'm going to decelerate to 180 and then here 150 and then manually set this page, flaps 30, 135. Let's update that because we have burned some fuel on the way for our VREF. And Moscow. There's also a Moscow City add-on, but I didn't bought that. I have the New York City XP from the same guys. Maybe in the next flight do a LaGuardia departure. And we have Moscow below us. Right, beautiful sunset approach. And let's go down to 180. And check the traffic. Oh, not much going on. Aeroflot departed. A330-300. And got a lonely beach in the area.
2500.
And flaps 5. And we are turning around. Alright, let's concentrate on flying. Already at 2500 feet. Should be maintaining that, yes. And we're going to intercept the glide slope from below. And here we have the localizer. Going to intercept that. And we can go to flaps 10. Beautiful sunset. And here you have the localizer and glide slope indicator. Like I said, intercept it from below. Don't really want to do a slam dunk approach. So let's check. And everything looks ready for landing. And here we go soon. Now we have also TCAS, but the World Traffic 3 does not get picked up, only the standard X-Plane 11 AI planes. But that's not a big of an issue. Now when we land, I'm going to engage APU. And normally you'd want ground power unit to supply power for the aircraft, but when we watch the replay and ground power unit is connected, then the airplane it is also connected in the replay mode, so it's quite hilarious actually when the airplane is flying with the ground power unit connected. At first I was like, what the hell is going on? Alright, we are turning soon. Still at 180. And here we go, I'm going to engage via localizer. And soon, yeah, it's captured. And here we go, gear down. Go down to 150. 3 green and set auto brakes 2. And extending flaps, arm the approach. And here we go, glide slope is alive. And flaps 30. Go manual thrust, maintain 150 for now. Yeah, make sure lights are on, speed brakes armed, flaps 30. Normally for auto land we would need both autopilots engaged, but I'm going to do a manual landing. This plane is only Cat 3A ILS. It has a restriction for Cat 3A approach because it has no centerline, runway centerline tracking. Once it touches down, it reverts control to the pilots. That's why I think it's 700 feet minimum runway visibility, or VR is required.
1,000.
And here we go, my aircraft. It's a little bit bumpy. Crosswind. 17 knots from the front and right. And try to stay on the ILS. And somewhere Aeroflot is taxiing, if I see it correctly. At 20 feet above ground, retard and then land.
Minimum.
Gonna have to remember that I'm flying a Boeing and not an Airbus.
$100. 50. 40. 30. 20.
And retard.
10.
Acceptable and reversers. Ah, 265, not too bad, I take it. And this exit looking nice. Get the flaps up. Speed brakes up. And start the APU. Weather radar off. And look for a parking spot. Let's slow down a bit. And looks like another Aeroflot coming home. And this spot is going to be great. And we have arrived. Fantastic. And auto brakes should have been disarmed, but anyway. And now we can switch to APU gen. Here we go. Oh, another cool effect that we have here with the IXEG is this one. Looks fantastic, even better when it's dark. So really old school light right there. And now we can listen to the engines when we switch them off. Beautiful. Alright, thanks everybody for watching. Hope everybody enjoyed it, and thank you for subscribing to my channel. And I'll see you in the next video. And take care, have a nice week, and see you in the next one. Bye.